Hello friends, in this video we will solve some numerical based on Laplace transformation and their properties. So let's go through the very first question. Which one among the following statement is correct? So first of all, I'll read statement 1 and statement 2 and then we will go through the options. So this is the real question. The first statement says there is no bounded input, bounded output stable system with a pole in right half of the complex plane. And second statement says there is no causal and bounded input bounded output stable system with a pole in right half of the complex plane. So we have to see, if you look at options, option A says both the statements are true, option B says 1 and 2 both of them are not true, option C says 1 is true, and option D says only second is true. So we have to actually see the validity of two statements individually. Now I request you to read the statement 1 carefully once again, and then now I'll tell you what is the meaning of the statement 1. See, statement 1 clearly says if the pole is on right half of the S plane, then there is no possibility of getting a stable system. I repeat, whenever there is a pole in right half of the S plane, it is impossible to get the stable system, right? So in Laplace, we have seen how to identify whether the system is stable or unstable looking at the ROC. We know clearly stability of the system is identified looking at ROC like this. If ROC includes j omega axis, then the system is stable. If ROC do not include j omega axis, then the system is said to be unstable. So let us assume there is some pole on left hand side and there is another pole on right hand side. And let's say we have ROC like this. As you can see, this ROC is not including j omega axis and therefore the system is unstable. So here, since it is not including j omega axis, therefore it is unstable. But for example, again we have some pole on right hand side. So let us assume the value of pole to be positive 2, and let's say we have sigma less than 2 is ROC. Then what is going to happen? Then I can show my ROC like this. So here, as you can see, your ROC is including j omega axis. I repeat, your ROC is including j omega axis. Therefore, I can say it is a stable system. Please try to understand what is meant by that. Even though the pole is present in right half of the S-plane, it is possible to have a stable system provided its ROC is covering j omega axis. I hope thing is clear with you. So for example, this is e to the power 2t times u of minus t. So it is this kind of system. E to the power 2t u of t, if you look at this, then it will have a graphical representation like this. So now if you see at this, now if you look at its response, as you can see clearly that this is bounded in nature. If this is bounded in nature, definitely it is stable. So statement 1 is said to be a false statement. Statement 1 said to be a false statement. It was claiming that if your pole lie on a right half of the S-plane, then the system is unstable. That is, the system cannot be a stable system. Let's look at a statement number 2. Statement number 2 says there is no causal and a stable system with a pole in right half of the S-plane. And this is what we have already seen and we have concluded when we have studied causality and stability. So looking at the statement, it is quite clear that this is a true statement. Meaning that if you want a stable system as well as causal system, there is no option but all your poles should be lying on left half of the S-plane. If you want to see the clarification of this, you can watch that video again and you can see. So here only statement number 2 is true. So option D is the correct option. Let's move to the next question. If u of t represents a unit step function, then the Laplace transform of u of t minus tau is. It's a very straightforward question and it's very easy. Let's say you have u of t. You know that its Laplace transform is 1 upon s. That is, in general, I can write f of t will have a Fourier transform. I supposed to say a Laplace transform here. Let us correct over here. F of s. In that case, if it is, let's say, f of t minus tau, then by using a time shifting property, it is e to the power minus tau s times f of s. Is that right? In that case, I'll treat my u of t as f of t, and this is your f of s. Am I right? So here, what they want is Laplace transform of u of t minus tau. So u of t minus tau will have its Laplace transform as e to the power minus tau s multiplied by f of s, where f of s value is nothing but s. So as you can see, option C is the correct option. So we have to just use our time shifting property here. That's it. Next question says, given that f of s is one-sided Laplace transform of f of t. So when they say f of s is one-sided, means your f of s can be causal or it can be anti-causal. Fine. A Laplace transform of f of t. So in short, the Laplace transform of f of t is f of s. Let's read ahead. The Laplace transform of integral of f of tau d tau over 0 to t is. So you have to use only integration property here. So whenever you integrate your f of t with respect to time, then definitely it is f of s divided by s, irrespective what kind of f of s, whether it is one-sided, two-sided, or so on. So it has nothing to do with your integration property. Integration property, whenever you integrate your f of t, it is simply f of s divided by s. We have seen this property as a last property in a last video lecture. So it is simply f of s divided by s. So it is option B. A system is described by a differential equation d square y by dt square. So this is 2 actually, plus 5 times dy by dt plus 6 times y of t is equal to x of t. Let x of t be a rectangular pulse, and they have given some condition for a rectangular pulse. So they have said y of 0 equal to 0 and dy by dt equal to 0 at t equal to 0. If you remember, these are called as initial conditions. So initial conditions are equal to 0 and then the Laplace transform of y of t. So what they are asking you is actually y of s. So most of the times the systems are described by differential equations, and you know that whenever you want to have a solution of differential equation, you have to go through a longer procedure. And you know what, a Laplace transformation is a remedy over it, because Laplace transformation simply converts differentiation into multiplication. That is, if you remember, let's say y of t has a Laplace transform as y of s, then dy by dt, that is derivative of y with respect to time, will have Laplace transform as s into y of s. Is that right? So here, what is given a differential equation, I'll just write that differential equation here. It is d square y by dt square plus 5 times dy by dt plus 6 times y of t is equal to x of t. Alright. So by having a Laplace transform on both the sides, the reason why I'm taking Laplace transform on both the sides, because they are asking you particularly Laplace transform of y of t. So I need to have y of s here. Since initial conditions are 0, I can say d square y by dt squares Laplace transform is s square times y of s plus 5 is constant. Dy by dt will have Laplace transform as s times y of s plus 6 times y of t will become 6 times y of s after Laplace. This is equal to x of s. Finally, if I take y of s common, what is remaining inside is s square plus 5s plus 6, and this whole equal to x of s. What I want ultimately is y of s, so I need to shift this bracket over here. Therefore, now y of s will become x of s whole divided by s square plus 5s plus 6. I hope you got this point. So this is the y of s they have provided. And now if you compare the options, then you will find that your options are not matching with the obtained y of s. Then you have to read the question carefully. They have given you the extra information, that is information regarding x of t. See carefully. They have stated that x of t is a rectangular function and they have given some condition. You know how rectangular pulse look like. So look at x of t. X of t is having amplitude equal to 1 from time 0 to 2, and otherwise it is equal to 0. So I can draw x of t quickly here. So from given conditions, I can say that x of t is having amplitude equal to 1 between 0 to 2. So between 0 to 2, it is having an amplitude equal to 1, and otherwise it is always equal to 0. See, what I have is x of t, and what I want over here is x of s. I'm talking about this ratio. What I want is x of s, and what I have is x of t. But this is a graphical representation of x of t. Is there any way that I can express my x of t in terms of a step signal? Yes, it is very easy. You know that by observing, I can say x of t is simply u of t minus u of t minus 2. Am I right? What I want is actually x of s. So I can write my x of s as u of t's Laplace transform is simply 1 upon s minus, by using a time shift property, it is e to the power minus 2s divided by s. Or I can write my x of s as 1 minus e to the power minus 2s whole divided by s. Let us substitute value of x of s in the above expression. So what I'll get is y of s is equal to, so in denominator what you have is s square plus 5s plus 6, and the value of x of s is simply 1 minus e to the power minus 2s whole divided by s. Further, I can write this as, I'll keep numerator same, I'll keep this s same. So s square plus 5s plus 6, you can rewrite this as s plus 2 into s plus 3. Now let's see what is the correct option. So by observation, you can see that it is nothing but option B. Option B and option D are quite similar. The only difference that there is no pole at origin. So here s is missing. Let's move to the last question. Input x of t and output y of t of an LTI system are related using differential equation y double dash of t minus y dash of t minus 6 times y of t equal to x of t. If the system is neither causal nor stable, the impulse response h of t is given as. It's a very popular format that comes in the GATE. So what they have given is a differential equation. Please remember, whenever they give it in terms of differential equation, in fact here the differential equation is given in some other form. So you should know these notations. F dash of t is actually df of t by dt. And when they say f double dash of t, it means it is a double derivative, that is d square by dt square for f of t. Similarly, when they say y double dash of t, it means it is d square y by dt square. So let me write the differential equation in a proper form. So I can write this way, d square y by dt square plus, so we have negative here, so it is minus y dash of t is dy by dt minus 6 times y of t, and this is equal to x of t. So what they want is impulse response, am I right? Impulse response means h of t. So what I'll do is I'll take a Laplace transform on both the sides. So I'll get my equation in terms of y of s and x of s. Somehow I'll manage to get y of s upon x of s. You know, y of s upon x of s is Laplace of output upon Laplace of input, and this is popularly known as a transfer function h of s. Once I have h of s, and if I take inverse Laplace of it, it will become h of t. and what they want ultimately is h of t. So first step is to have a Laplace transform to get the equation in terms of y of s and x of s. Get the ratio of y of s upon x of s, that is you get h of s. Once you have h of s, that is a transfer function, take a inverse Laplace of it and get h of t. So I'm sure what I want to do is clear to you. So Laplace transform on both the sides. D square y by dt square will become s square times y of s minus dy by dt will become s times y of s minus 6 times y of t will become 6 times y of s, and this is equal to x of s. Now what I'm planning to do is I'll take y of s common. So I can write y of s multiplied by s square minus s minus 6, and this whole equal to x of s. So now if I take the ratio of y of s upon x of s, it is Laplace of output upon Laplace of input. This ratio is popularly known as a transfer function h of s. So h of s is known as a transfer function. You will always see transfer function concept in control system. Now this is equal to 1 upon s square minus s minus 6. I can factorize this like s minus 3 into s plus 2, that is minus 3 into 2 is minus 6 and minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1. So after factorizing this, that is this is your h of s now, which is equal to 1 upon s minus 3 into s plus 2. I can write my h of s as a upon s minus 3 plus b upon s plus 2. So by partial fraction only I can solve my h of s, because once you have h of s, you can apply inverse Laplace transform only if it is in standard form. So the one h of s that I have over here, it is not in a standard form. So let us make it into standard form by using a partial fraction concept. So now what I have to calculate is the value of a and b. After solving for partial fraction, you'll get the value of a as 1 by 5 and value of b as minus 1 by 5. So let me substitute directly. So h of s will become 1 by 5 upon s minus 3 minus because b is negative. It is 1 by 5 divided by s plus 2. So this is your h of s. And now you are going for inverse Laplace. So to go towards inverse Laplace, first I'm going back to the question, and before that I want you people to realize something. See carefully what I'm trying to convey. You know what? E to the power minus at dot u of t. What is the Laplace transform for this? I'm sure you know that. It is 1 upon s plus a, and ROC is sigma greater than minus a. Is that right? This is first example I have taken. Look at the second example carefully. Let's say if it is e to the power minus at, but this time I'm multiplying by u of minus t, and let's say I have negative sign also here, right? In that case, a Laplace transform is again 1 upon s plus a. The only difference that ROC will change, that is sigma less than minus a. So what is the difference between the first function and the second function? The first function is a causal function, so this is a causal function, and the second function is anti-causal function. As you can see, in both the cases I got common Laplace, right? It is 1 upon s plus a. It is 1 upon s plus a. The only difference between what? ROC. Is that right? Now listen to my question very carefully. If the function is given in time domain, it is easy to get the Laplace domain, or it is easy to get a Laplace transformation along with the ROC. But if they ask you the inverse Laplace, then it becomes quite difficult. See why it becomes difficult? I'll tell you. Suppose if I ask you that, let's say 1 upon s plus a is some Laplace function, and you have to take its inverse Laplace. You have to take its inverse Laplace. Now you have two answers, because inverse Laplace for 1 upon s plus a can be e to the power minus at dot u of t also, or 1 upon s plus a will have inverse Laplace as minus of e to the power minus at times u of minus t also, meaning that there is no common solution for 1 upon s plus a when it comes to inverse Laplace. I hope you got the problem. Then the answer is, whenever you say only 1 upon s plus a, this is insufficient data. It is having insufficient data. So you know what, when it will become sufficient? It will become sufficient only when you also provide some information along with ROC, meaning that not only f of s but also ROC must be given, and then only it is possible for you to have an inverse Laplace. I hope you got my point. So providing only 1 upon s plus a is not enough. 1 upon s plus a along with ROC will give you the correct answer as a causal function, that is e to the power minus at times u of t. And suppose 1 upon s plus a given along with ROC as sigma less than minus a, then it is known that it is an anti-causal function, then it is minus of e to the power minus at times u of minus t, meaning that providing only 1 upon s plus a becomes insufficient data and you will have no common solution. So my point is, whenever they ask you inverse Laplace question, they cannot ask you blindly. They must tell you about ROC also. Even though they don't tell you about ROC, it is quite a hidden data. You have to identify it. Without knowing about its ROC or information about ROC, you cannot go for inverse Laplace. So you may have a question, why I'm discussing so much? Reason. So let me tell you the reason. Please understand, what you have is h of s, am I right? What they want is h of t. If you have h of s and you want h of t, what you will go for? You'll go for inverse Laplace, am I right? But then only h of s is known to you, and if you want to get h of t, as I said, you will have no common solution. You have to know what is ROC. Now, if you read the question, there is no clue about ROC. So I would say rather, there is no information for ROC, but a clue for ROC is given. Let's read the question carefully. X of t and y of t are input and output of LTI system related by differential equation and so on. Then they say system is neither causal nor stable. I repeat, system is neither causal nor stable. Try to understand the question clearly. They are saying that system is not causal. Also, they are saying that system is neither stable also. You know what? Looking at the ROC, if we come to know whether the system is causal, non-causal or anti-causal, as well as we identify the stability of the system, then if they tell you inverse way, that is, they are telling you whether the system is stable or unstable, or they are telling you about the causality of the system, is it possible to guess the ROC? The question is it necessary to know the ROC? Answer is yes, because what is given to you is only h of s. What you want is h of t. So only h of s is insufficient data. H of s along with the ROC should be known to you. So regarding system, they have given you two information, that it is not causal as well as it is not stable. So let's try to guess its ROC. So let me remind you what was h of s. So h of s was 1 upon s minus 3 into s plus 2. So one thing I understood, that there are two poles, one pole present at 3 and the other pole present at minus 2. Let's try to have this explained. So one pole is present at 3, the other pole present at minus 2, and this is the S plane, am I right? Now, they have provided two information, that system is not causal. So first of all, it is not causal, am I right? And second thing, that it is not stable also. Am I right? So they have given you these two information. So try to decode it. When the system is not causal, okay, it means there are two possibilities, that it can be anti-causal or it can be non-causal also. I hope you remember this. Tell me. If it is anti-causal, then ROC should be left-sided. And whenever it is non-causal, then ROC is both-sided. So one thing is quite clear to you, that ROC cannot be right-sided. ROC cannot be right-sided. What does that mean? that the ROC which I'm showing you right now, it is not possible. So this ROC is not possible, because if this is the ROC, that is sigma greater than is the ROC, that is sigma greater than 3 is the ROC, then definitely this belongs to a causal system. Am I right? Then this kind of ROC is not possible. So there are two possibilities, that ROC is either left-sided. What is meant by ROC is left-sided? That ROC is left-sided means sigma has to be lesser than -2, and ROC both-sided means ROC should be trapped between two poles, that is -2 and 3, then sigma must lie between -2 and 3. So now there are two possible ROCs. For example, I'm talking about this ROC, that is ROC is trapped between -2 and 3. So let me draw that possible ROC here. So you might have this kind of ROC, but the problem is that it is including j omega axis. Then you will say, sir, what? How does that matter? If ROC is including j omega axis, then if you remember, it is called as a stable system, am I right? But they have said that it is not stable system. What does that mean? If it is not stable system, it must not include j omega axis. So what information I get from not stable is ROC must not include j omega axis. I hope you remember this. What does that mean? Even this possibility is false. Am I right? So you know what? ROC cannot be both sided. So this condition is false. So we have only one possibility, that is sigma less than -2. So we have only one possibility, that is sigma less than -2. So we have only this kind of ROC. So what is real ROC? Real ROC is sigma less than -2. So please understand, we had two poles, right? We had two poles. One of the pole was at 3, the other pole was at -2. So we can have three possible ROCs. See, with two poles, you can have three possible ROCs, that is either sigma greater than 3, or sigma lying between -2 to 3, or sigma less than -2. So these are three possibilities of ROCs. Please understand, whenever you have number of poles, let's say there are two poles, then there are three possible ROCs. If you have, let's say, four poles, then there are five possible ROCs, but then those number of poles should be non-repeated. Okay, so there are three possible ROCs as we have seen. So sigma greater than 3 belongs to causal system. So we know this belongs to causal system. Therefore, we have rejected this kind of ROC. So you know what? Rest of the two possibilities, that is possibility number 2 and possibility number 3, belongs to not causal system. Okay, it is not causal system, but then the problem what second was that it was including j omega axis, and this belongs to a stable system, and therefore we have rejected 2 also. So what is only remaining is sigma less than -2 is the only possible ROC we can have. Finally, let me write final h of s that we had was 1 by 5 upon s minus 3 minus 1 by 5 upon s plus 2. We knew that to have inverse Laplace, only this much information is not sufficient. So along with this, now I know that sigma less than -2 is our ROC. And whenever sigma less than -2, it means h of s is anti-causal function. So I repeat, this is purely anti-causal function. And you know that for anti-causal function, whenever you take inverse Laplace, you multiply it by minus of u of minus t. I repeat, you multiply the function with minus of u of minus t. So let us have inverse Laplace. H of s will become h of t. 1 by 5 is constant. 1 upon s minus 3 is e to the power 3t. And since it is anti-causal, it is going to get multiplied by minus of u of minus t. So I can put that negative sign here. Secondly, concentrate on this function. 1 by 5 is constant. Secondly, 1 upon s plus 2 is e to the power minus 2t. Secondly, it is anti-causal, then multiply with u of minus t, but not only with u of minus t, it is minus of u of minus t, but then the negative negative will become positive, and this is your final h of t. So this is your final h of t. Am I right? So now you can compare with the options, and if you see, it is option B is the correct option. So I'm sure now you are quite comfortable with properties of Laplace. Along with that, how to apply the properties, how to deal with differential equations of Laplace transform, you are comfortable. In next video lecture, we will see initial value and final value theorem, as well as we will solve some numerical based on the same. Thank you.